Welcome back, Cast of Kings. We got a lot to talk about today. We got a long list, NBA, White House as usual. But before we get started, I'm Bruce K.
I'm Reggie Miller.
And we have a special guest, James Freeman.
How you doing, folks?
So you may not notice, we actually did this show last week. Got back and realized that it didn't record. So we had the first show for practice, and now we're going to come back. We got a chance to talk to James. He's a local entrepreneur in Brooklyn. You know, we love to play, spread the love of local entrepreneurs. So I don't want to steal his thunder, but I'm going to let him give a little bit of his background, local restaurateur and entrepreneur.
Well, thank you, guys. Thank you for having me on your show, man. Cast of Kings. What's happening, world? So I have a couple of restaurants. My first one is Sweet Science, which is going on 5 years. Then I have a speakeasy called Featherweight. I also have a Caribbean American barbecue spot in Bushwick called Sally Roots. And then we just recently reopened up Ladies, which is at 572 Fulton. And you was at, we had a banging party on Friday, and you was there. This is why my voice is hoarse. So we know how to ride with the wheels off.
Right. Yeah. I actually had a chance to go right after the Nets game. You had the DJ from the Nets.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It was
DJ
a good look.
It was a good look, man. It was a hell of a party, man. We had a couple of folks turn out. We had Big Vern. Shout out to you, Big Vern. Keep putting that work in. And then we have Maceo from De La Soul, which was, I listened to De La Soul as a kid. That was like meeting.
That's old school.
Man, that's old school. That was like meeting one of my teachers, man. So yeah, it was pretty good, man. Like this Friday we're gonna do it again, and hopefully you guys can come out
after the Nets game again.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna totally blow my voice.
Yeah, I was telling Reggie, I thought I had too good of a time because I came and I got home and I was like, "Where's my credit card?"
Yeah.
That's when you know you had a good time. You
Yeah.
find your credit card.
Yeah.
I was about to call up and say, "I think I left I left my credit card." Then I got home, looking through my pockets, and I found it. So.
Well, let's not, you're a professional, man. It's every there was no feelings hurt. It was just a good time.
Absolutely.
That's what
Yeah.
it was.
How did you get started? Because I think a lot of our, viewing audience would like to know, like, how can I get into this business? And just give us some background on it.
Well, it was life's long story of just teaching you lessons. I used to do music, and I thought that music was the only thing that I was able to do. Not really, but like that's the only thing that I wanted to do.
Right.
And in the meantime, like being a starving artist, I would work in restaurants or bars, and I would bartend. One of my first jobs was actually being a dishwasher on St. Croix, where I grew up. And then, long story short, to the nuts and bolts of it, I met like my business partner named Maddie Matthew, who's a builder. And, out of a pinky bet, he's like, yo, listen, like, if you find a spot, like, I'll build it. And we did that. And it took me, like, probably about, 2 years to find it. And then we finished the spot in 6 months. And then through, through the bureaucracy of, the DOB and the red tape and all this, it took us about 2 years. So I opened up the place in a hole. Hence, I named it Sweet Science, which is actually the technical term for the art of boxing. So it's a fight. It was just a fight. That was my play on words. So when you go there, it's actually, and you eat, there's meaning behind it. There's thought. There's a point.
You have some passion and
Yeah.
you have some sweat equity in the business.
You damn right. Show you right. It's
Right.
like, as they said back
So
in the day.
Sweet Science was first.
Mm-hmm.
Then you did Featherweight.
Yes, sir.
Then Sally Roots.
Mm-hmm.
And now Ladies. And what's the concept behind Ladies?
Ladies is, it's a brick oven pizza spot, right? With tapas, and like right now we're like the menu is growing, but for right now we're pushing pizzas, and we do we have like bar food, really good bar menu, and then we have a great burger, and then we're we're building composed plates right now. So stay tuned, come by, check us out, tell us what you like and what you don't like, and and as we grow, you'll start to see new things on the menu.
And James, this is your fourth business now. For anyone that's out there who may want to open up a business, open up a restaurant, do you have any over that journey of trying to open up 4 restaurants? Is there a single story that sticks out in your head that's like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this, or something that you overcame while trying to open up this business that you want to share with somebody?
Yeah, man. Being an entrepreneur in itself is hard because you have to wake up every day for yourself. You know what I mean? You're not waking up for somebody else. You're like, You know, like you're waking up without the thought of getting paid. You're waking up
Right.
because you have some sort of drive. Now, the first thing, like the number one thing on the list, like to become an entrepreneur, you have to have love within what it is you're trying to do. You know, and I was thinking about that because last week when we was talking, I was kind of going on and off, and I was like, well, I'm trying to get better at this interview thing, you know, because I want people to hear the story, and it all boiled down to love. You know, like LOVE, lost over vanity's emotions. You know what I mean? Just love. When you have, isn't that crazy, right? Just talk about that. Well, when you have passion for something, you know, nobody can tell you no. You know, and that's what you need as an entrepreneur, because when one door closes, when somebody says no, you don't accept it, you open up another door. And from that, just the constant, just beating the pavement, just like, I'm not going to accept no for an answer. You know, it makes you want to punch somebody. Pow! Hit him in the face.
Got you.
And you said you were an artist, so how did that kind of, those skills and that experience kind of help you out in what you're doing now?
You know, because, you know, in anything you do business, you have to identify, relate to what you know to what you don't know. So I know how to make an album. So making an album and opening a business made sense to me. So I'm like, well, you know, like I'm opening up a business, but I'm actually making an album. You know, like these are songs that we create. These, like, you know, like, and I want people to come and listen to the songs. And when you create something for the general public, there's always criticism, you know. So like you'll go on Yelp and you'll see people say like they love it or they'll hate it. But that's what you do when you create this thing, you know, and then you give it. You know, like you give it to the public, and then they're the judge. So far so good. You know, like, you know, we're on top of our job. Some you can't please everybody, but you know, we're doing a damn good job of pleasing most people.
Yeah, well, so far I've been impressed. Like I said, I had a great time on Friday night.
Thank you, man.
Looking forward to next Friday.
Right on. You got to come out, man.
Yeah,
you got to come out.
I
You got to
gotta.
come out. You know, like, I know you're a busy man, but one of these days I'm going to catch you. I'm going to catch you just once.
I'm going to catch it. Definitely.
Well, we definitely, you know, love and respect what you're doing in the community.
Oh, man, thank you.
You know, we're here to support you, so we wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about what you're doing, tell people where you are. You're on social media, Instagram.
Yeah, you know, like you can see, like, you know, like I don't have these aliases or these colorful names, you know, like, you know, like I'm not, you know, I'm just like, I'm the same guy. I'm James Freeman now as the same person as James Freeman then. You know, but you can check me out on, like, my Instagram is Sweet Science, BKLN, and then Sally Roots, and then Featherweight, and then Ladies. I check all these things. And, you know, like, I should have one central, like, you know, but, you know, I'm not that guy. When I disappear, I disappear.
You know, I went to Sweet Science first. And
that's my baby.
I found out about it through We Don't Do Clubs.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yeah.
And I went and I was thinking, well, this is black owned, but...
Oh, shout out to Janice, who actually is the author of and the creator of I Don't Do Clubs.
I Don't Do Clubs, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I like the vibe here, right? So I invited Reggie. Reggie came and we're sitting there and they're playing trap music the whole time. The food was good. And then after that,
trap music all the time.
No, not all the time. But that night, right?
But I enjoyed it that night.
It was good. Yeah, it was good.
It was all right with me.
Right.
All right.
And then we went next door to Featherweight, had a quick, you know, classic cocktail, and you know, it was a good night. So
sexy spot to bring your girl. So,
definitely, yeah. If you want to get out for a drink, you'll impress her because it's kind of in the cut. You wouldn't find it right away. So.
Yeah, it's one of those. You know, like that's the beauty of Sweet Science, right? That's the first thing. That was holding the bull by the horns. You know, so when we found it, you know, it was this huge space, and like working with a big space like that. It's very hard because you got to put bodies in there. So, like, you know, the neighborhood really appreciated it, and it started to grow. And then Featherweight was a single standing brownstone in the back that it used to be a furniture store and a gym, but they was using this place for, like, storage, and it burnt down. So, so like, the land was like, you can't, like, you know, like, whatever.
Right, what are you going to do with that? Right.
I was like, I got an idea, you know? So we took that on, and it took us like 3 years to actually to get that off the ground, because we had to get Sweet Science off the ground first, and then we got Featherweight off the ground, and then once we started developing the playbook, you know, like, 'cause it's like business is addictive,
it's
you know, like,
and it's a formula.
It's a formula, but it's also, I mean, there's something to be said when you create something with your own two hands. You know, and then when people like, you know, like this opportunity, I would have never had it if it wasn't for that business, and I'm so appreciative for it. It's like I'm able to have a story. Well, we all have story, but I'm able to tell the story, and people want to listen to it. You know, so
Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. And you were kind enough to bring us these.
that's
hats.
right.
Yes.
That's right. Branding is everything, and you
So-
can get them. You can get them at Sweet Science.
Yes.
They're on live at 135 Graham Avenue, and they're super dope. We have the rims, and
Right,
you know, it's
you
the
see that?
shield. Yeah. There you go. Oh, so I'm looking up. I shouldn't be looking up.
That's okay.
Yo, what have you guys been doing since I last seen you?
Oh man, I've been busy. You know, I've left the corporate world, so I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. Like you, looking at some entrepreneurial ventures. You know, I got to the point where I've been in corporate America for 25 years, and I think that, especially as a black male, it's hard to dictate your own destiny. Right? You're in the throes of someone else's vision.
Dig.
And,
Okay.
you know, sometimes I think that I have a better vision for me and for my destiny. And I'm just at this point where I want to show and prove that the things that I think and do are successful. So there's no better way to do that than to jump out there on your own, right? That's the best way to prove what's going on. So that's what I've been doing. I've been just grinding, trying to figure out what I want to do next.
Yeah, but I mean, you also have a booth story, man. It's like, I mean, like, you're a young entrepreneur yourself.
Yes, I've owned and ran a digital marketing agency for 18 years. So, you know, I'm like Bruce. I'm ready to get back out there and recreate, because running it is not the same as building it.
Hey,
So
there you go.
I'm about to exit out of that and start all over again with a new venture.
I feel you, man. Like, that's
So-
why we're here with the cast of
That's
kids.
why we're
man.
here, right?
Right on.
Like, you know, even the show was something that I had been talking about for years. So, you know, the reason why we're in front of these stoops is that Brooklyn, this is the way I grew up, right? This was a community. Everybody came out. The neighbors, my friends, my boys, the girls, we all sat on the stoop and we talked smack. You know, this is where we socialized. This is where you might have got your first date. This is where you got your hair braided, everything. And
On
I
the
think
stoop.
on the stoop, right?
There was a lot of activity
A
on
lot
that
of
stoop.
activity on the
You
stoop.
just on that stoop, holding
Yeah,
hard. Hold that stoop hard.
all day, right? Just watching people go by. So, you know, I thought that this was the great forum to really start talking about the things that were important to our community, because I think we kind of lost that a little bit, right? So what the vision for this was, let's bring people in who have, like you, been successful in business, like Reggie, started their own business, and show people that we can do this within our own community. And I think some of the things that we see going on in the political environment today might make people think that they can't, but actually we
But,
can.
you know, like, first of all, with the political, like, and I, like, you know, we all rap about this. Right now, we're in a financial economic war as minorities. Like, there's a lot of catching up to do. We're gonna have, like, you know, it's gonna take us at least 5 generations to catch up, if not more. You know, so this is why, like, when we do create something, we gotta create more. We gotta create more. We gotta create more to the point where we have a hold on our community. We can regain that back. But then also, I want to kind of backtrack a little bit, because I also want people to understand that, you know, working a 9 to 5 is not wrong. There's nothing wrong with it.
No.
You know, like some, like, like there's benefits in it. You know, like and also, like, when I was doing my 9 to 5, like, you know, like, I had a dream in my head that I wanted to do, but I had to reinvent myself. And the first thing that I had to learn was patience. You know, and, you know, waking up, doing a hustle, and then actually trying to be, like, well, I said trying to be on time, like de Blasio, can you fix that train system, because we're fucking up on that right there. You know what I mean? But just, like, being on time, you know, like, we have to prove, like, ourselves more than the others. And, like, with my first business, where, like, you know, like, I told you a story, and it's kind of a long story, but my, like, you know, like, the investor that I thought was going to invest in this thing, that I was like, oh, okay, I don't have to worry about money, then just disappeared. You know, just like, you know, just walked away. So I had to get out. That's at the point where I sign a lease. So what do? Do you walk away and you say, like, well, you know, like, I could have did this, or you just say, you know what, I'm gonna give it all I got. And that's what I did. So I ended up getting on the hustle, like, and just, like, talking to folks and raising the money. And lo and behold, where I got most of the money from was people that I worked for. So that 9 to 5. and being on time and being responsible and not having somebody that's your boss per se behind you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And saying like, you know what? I trust that so and so's there because you know what? I don't have to like be behind that person. I don't have to like watch that person. That person is not a fool. You know, they can work on their own, and that's what we should do in life, and that's what we have to do in
Working on
business.
your own.
Sometimes you got to get rid of that safety net to really, realize your fullest potential.
Yeah, you got to go down that rabbit hole, baby, and sometimes that rabbit hole just don't stop. You just
No.
keep falling.
The thing that I've heard a lot of entrepreneurs tell me is that you can't be afraid to fail. And if you do fail, you got to learn from what went wrong and then just keep going at it.
Yeah,
So,
failure is your
failure is a
friend.
teacher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's the key is it's like, did you learn from it?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah, like you can't make. We're not in the business of making the same mistake twice. You know, like or 3 times. If
No,
you
well,
if
that's
you
the
make,
problem. You're making the same mistake over and over. Then
yeah, I'm like I
maybe
gotta
you
back
should-
away from you, player. I'm like I gotta go someplace else. That motherfucker crazy. He keep doing the same shit for the same results.
That's what they say. The definition of insanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, right,
You don't want to be around that. You know what I mean? That's like cats. You know, like there's certain things, right? That as an adult, like one, like if you're in a relationship or if you're married, if you're in a committed relationship, such as I enjoy being able to like put my phone down. You know,
Right.
like
then
you
I
know,
have to worry about.
yeah, I don't.
random-
Like there's
Yeah.
things that I'm like, like why I want to deal with that energy? And I see friends and I see people that that brag to me about it. I'm like, yo, that's good. I already got that out my system. That's why I'm committed now. But like there's certain things that just take way too much time. Like you know how much time that takes? You know how much time you waste? Like Jesus Christ.
There's only so many hours in a day. You
Yeah,
can't
man.
spend too much time thinking about.
Yo, it's tough enough dealing with one woman. Just imagine like 2 and 3. Jesus Christ. And you wonder why you broke? Sorry.
That's the real thing right there. Right?
Yeah. Or there's the cat that like I'm kind of veering off subject because we've got topics, but then there's a cat that talks about what you do more knowledgeable than what you do. You know what I'm saying? It's like I know this, I know that, I know this. Well, I'm like, well, show me your fruits.
Right.
Where are your fruits?
Oh, your fruits.
You know what I'm saying? Let me see.
I like that.
Where are your fruits? Like.
You got it all figured out.
Yeah, like if you got it all figured out, why don't you teach me something, man? Like let me sit down and patronize what you do. That's why with reviews, I look at reviews with a grain of salt because there's certain reviews that I'll get negative reviews from, and like that's what people gotta say. Yo, listen, when you go to Yelp or any of these sites to give your opinion. You know what I look at, and when I give credit, and I don't really answer most of them because sometimes like the negative reviews, people are picking a fight. They want to pick a fight,
Right.
as opposed to being constructive. You know, like you can say, "Hey, the food was horrible." I'm like, I can fix that. Like what was the matter with it? You know, like was it too salty? Was this? Was like or it might have been just not your particular thing. You know, like this is why people are
Could've been
creatures
the
of habit.
you don't like, or right.
Yeah, like most people when they go out, they order safety. They order for safety.
Things they know.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's like, well, it's hard, it's hard to do certain things. That's like with Sally Roots, whereas, I call it Caribbean American barbecue, right? And I was born in New York, and I was raised on an island, so there's things that I like. I like jerk chicken, I like roti, I like curry goat, I like curry chicken. You know what I'm saying? I like fried chicken as well. I like a burger. So what I like, the harshest criticisms that I get about Sally Roots is like, oh, it's not traditional. I'm like, I wasn't trying to make it traditional. I was trying to use the spices.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you
Right.
want tradition, that's why we go to our grandmama house. We can't. Nobody can cook like your grandmama.
No, not at all.
So
Right.
those are the things. And once again, I take that for a grain of salt. But this is an extreme. It's like for you people in the general public. Like if you want to give me criticism, give me constructive criticism. So I know how to fix things as opposed to just coming in with a chip on your shoulder because you're like, oh, I've heard about
Not what
this.
I'm used to.
Yeah,
or
you know what I'm saying?
whatever.
Like it's like give me a shot. Like maybe 2 shots, and if you have something like if it was horrible, like maybe because of server, and like people have bad days. I don't, but give me the opportunity to fix it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, at least you're willing to fix it. That's
Yeah, yeah, man. Like you kidding me? Like the whole idea and the beauty of what I do is I help create memories. You know, like I want to look back. I want to look back, and then I want somebody to come to me and be like, "Oh man, like, hey James, how you doing? Yeah, I had the best time." Or I met my wife here, and we come here like every year to celebrate our anniversary, and like like my kids and this whole, and this all happened because of this idea that was created. So I'm looking forward to that. Like, yeah.
So what about when you're not at your own restaurants? Are there places like other restaurants that you like to go to?
Oh man, yeah, I do. Like, I mean, you gotta like, and you gotta try things. And one I love to eat. I go to Number 7, which is actually Number 7 Green right up here. Like they do really good stuff. I like Dirty Precious, which is a cocktail bar in the Gowanus. Right. I love I love Eastwick, which is in my same neighborhood, and I like,
Was that Bushwick?
Yeah, that's Bushwick.
Okay, Eastwick.
I love Variety Coffee.
Check that out.
Like Variety Coffee, I just love it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
There's a bunch of places, and then also too, I like kind of keep my eye on the radar for new things. Like there's this new spot on Atlantic, which is really weird. Like this is when it's interesting because it's on Atlantic, right? There's really no parking.
Talking about Island Reef.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Have you been there?
Yeah, I have. It's weird.
It's not weird, but it's beautiful.
It's
Like,
beautiful.
It's
No, it's beautiful,
absolutely
but
beautiful.
like you said, you wouldn't think about going to Atlantic Avenue.
Yeah.
For like a cocktail with an umbrella in it.
And they do their thing. They
Right.
do their thing, and it's dope, and it's like off the beaten path, and that's
And,
one of the.
and what's the name of it?
Island
Reef.
Island Reef.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And that's
It's next to the shuttle overpass, and then like an auto repair shop or
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, where'd this come from?
Yeah, but then also for like for in our eyes, like like as like like people who develop these things, finding very interesting locations is like key. Is the key. And that when I go in there, like I go in places and I look and I'm like I never go to a place to judge. I'm a voyeur. I'm like like it's like art to me. Like I'm like, well, I appreciate what they're doing. You know what I mean? And like there's no bad experience for me. I'm like, oh, okay, I see this. That's cool. You know what I mean? That's super cool. And then there's times where I'll get nostalgic and I'll be like, hey man, like this is really cool. I like the way, like I like the logo and the way that you put these napkins and all that. And sometimes they're like, you're being a weirdo. I'm like, no. I'm just, like
You're absorbing it all. You're
Yeah, I
taking
like
back.
it.
Yeah.
But then they have like a really dope backyard, and what tripped me out was the way that they do it. Like they have a food van in the back, right? Which is cool. Like a lot of people do food vans, but it was almost like it was dope because then they give you this little electronic card thing that vibrates. I'm like oh wow, they just, it's like like I know like the big chains do it. But instead of having like this big disc that they get like Shake Shack, they'll give you like the big disc.
Yeah.
So
Like
they
the coaster.
Yeah, so they took that idea and tricked it out, and I was like, oh man, I love this. This is just dope. This is efficiency. That's what this is,
James, like him on Facebook, like him on Instagram, 4 locations.
Sweet
Keep
Science
rolling.
is at 135 Graham Avenue, which is Grham.
Avenue, Puerto Rico.
That's right. There we go. That's better than saying Graham. Graham. But then also same address is Featherweight. It's right behind Sweet Science. And then we have Sally Roots, which is at 195 Wyckoff Avenue between Himrod and Herman. And then Ladies, which is the new location, which is at 572 Fulton, right inside the Rockwell building, across the street from BAM, where we are filming The Cast of Kings right now.
And are you going to do the event after every Nets game or just Nets games on the weekend?
Yeah, that's a thing. Like definitely follow us on Instagram, DJ Anthem. After every Friday, even if games aren't on Friday, he's gonna be there posting up, spinning. Like a lot of good, and he's well connected. He has a lot of good people.
The beats were hot.
Beats were hot. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Everybody was reminiscing because he was playing a lot of old school, classic R&B, classic hip hop.
Oh man. Oh, he did an improv, like maybe 4 days. No, yeah, I would say 4 days to test it.
Right,
To see how
okay.
see what's
See
going
how it
on.
works.
Just showed up, right? Just showed up and he put that sticky on it. It was like, whop. Next thing you know, it was like it was on, right? And I was like, okay, I see where this is going.
Yeah.
I see where this is going. Some neighbors are gonna complain.
You said you're an artist, right? Music.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I used to rhyme.
okay.
You know, I would spit stuff like, if a chair is still a chair, I rise, beneath of stone, born to roam through the jungle and hold my own inside the sun of His Majesty, bloodline as far as the eye can see, double-edged sword, revelations, coming from a new generation, triple darkness through the womb, touch the earth, birth. I carried the cross across the sea to a land unfamiliar, riddled with demons, justice, soul, my brother, please forgive us, this world's chaotic to the core. I gotta hustle, time. On the rise, let the dead bury the dead, let the living live. It's just the liberty of life. Crack a bottle, share the blood, give thanks. We here forever. It's a whole new zone. My father's house has many homes. Where you stand or where you want to be, cracked out eternal fire, resurrect all the dead. Marcus, Malcolm, Mr. Marley, just aside Christ, fly high to the sky. Now, I like to think. I'm a thinker, you dig?
Yeah, I like
you
that.
know?
I like that.
Yeah, you know, and I also like the word. You know, like I'm not a slave to it. And I'm not like this religious person. I think what I do religiously is brush my teeth. I do that every day. But you know, like I am a fan of the word. Like I'm a fan of knowledge. I'm a fan of philosophy. You know, like that's just my thing.
So who are you feeling these days on the music scene? Like,
oh man, you know, first of all, I gotta give a shout out to my dude. You know, next Thursday, he got this song with he got a song called Sway. I was at SOB's last night, and he did the Up Next, which was super hot. He killed it, tore it down. Got to meet like Pretty Lou. Waka Flocka was out there, so I really appreciate his stuff. And one, I appreciate the stories that he tells.
yeah,
You know, it's
storytelling,
more,
that's a lost
yeah,
art.
see,
you know?
tell stories.
Right.
It's like, you know, like it's like, yeah, okay, you're bouncing to it, but then, you know, you're bouncing
What
to
are
it.
you
and
saying?
Yeah, you're
Right.
like Carly B. I like that joint when she talks about red bottoms. She cussing out another stripper. You know, what I
Right.
mean? She's like, what does she say? If I see you, I don't speak. That means I don't with you. That's that's how you cuss somebody out. You know what I mean? I ain't speaking to you.
She got a new song out too. That's not bad.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm once again, I'm a fan of old school. Somebody told me that I have to, you know, like I have to learn and appreciate what's being said now to understand the new thought. And
Right.
I'm like, I appreciate it, you know, like, but I also feel like I'm a little bit old sometimes because I'm like, yo, I need to, you know, like I need to listen to a little bit of Roberta Flack right now, you know, some Luther.
Yeah, you got to
you know.
diversify, right?
Yeah,
I never want to be the person that just listens to one genre of music,
Right.
right? I think that's limiting.
Yeah.
You
And
know, I
besides,
love
hip hop today, you know, they're mumbling. So
The
you know,
mumbling, yeah.
Well, you know, that's a question of
down
that's
south
a
influence.
question of like, you know, what came first, the chicken or the egg? If a tree falls in the forest and nobody's around to hear it, is there sound? Are they mumbling to you, or are they mumbling to themselves? Or actually, are they really not mumbling? They're actually
Because
saying
people
really
who
clear
follow-
things,
Right.
You know, but we just interpret it as mumbling because our ears trained a
Not
a
picked
different
up.
way.
Yeah. So that's our show. Once again, we want to thank our special guest,
Thank you for having
James
me.
Freeman.
Thanks
Right
for
on.
coming.
Looking
Thanks for
forward
having me,
to
man.
all your new ventures and everything else.
Yeah, well, I'll see you Friday. You know, like
I'll be there Friday.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
won't forget my credit card.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And when you get back from your trip, definitely come out.
Yes,
I
I'm
can't
gonna
wait
be
to
there.
see you.
I'm gonna be
You
there.
know, I want
Right.
to get you walking on one leg.
Yeah,
You know.
you know, I keep hearing about it, so I gotta
Yes,
sir. show up, see all the
So,
beautiful ladies in the music
Cast
and
of
the
Kings.
food.
Cast of Kings. Thank you.
Check us on YouTube. Soon to be on all your social media. Once again, Bruce Curtin, Bruce K.
Reggie Miller.
And we'll see you next 2 weeks. 13 days, 23 and a half hours. We out.